Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we rediving into the dramatic and turbulent life of a king whose reign was one of the shortest in British history. But boy was it eventful. We're talking about King James II of England, a man whose story is packed with power struggles, religious conflict, and a revolution that changed the course of a nation. So, grab your popcorn, because this is a tale you won't want to miss. James was born in 1633. The second surviving son of King Charles I. This meant he wasn't originally destined for the throne. His older brother Charles was the heir apparent. James's early life was thrown into chaos by the English Civil War. Imagine being a young prince while your country is at war with itself, and your own father is at the center of the conflict. When James was just a teenager, his father was executed and the monarchy was abolished. He and his family were forced into exile, spending years on the European continent, moving from place to place. This period was tough, but it also shaped him. He served in the French and Spanish armies, gaining valuable military experience that would define much of his later life. In 1660, the political winds shifted dramatically. The monarchy was restored, and James's older brother was crowned King Charles II. James, now titled the Duke of York, returned to England as a powerful and influential figure. He was appointed Lord High Admiral, and he took his job seriously. He was a capable naval commander, overseeing the Royal Navy during the Anglo-Dutch Wars. He was hard-working, dedicated, and by many accounts quite brave. Things seemed to be looking up for him. He was at the heart of the royal court, a key advisor to his brother, and a man of action. But there was a complication, a big one. During his time in exile, James had secretly converted to Catholicism. In 17th century England, this was a massive deal. The country was overwhelmingly Protestant, and there was a deep-seated fear and suspicion of Catholics. This fear wasn't just about theology, it was political. Many English people associated Catholicism with absolute monarchy, like the kind seen in France and Spain, and they feared it would destroy their liberties in Parliament. For a while, James kept his faith private. But by the late 1670s, the secret was out. This led to a major political crisis, known as the Exclusion Crisis. A powerful group in Parliament, the Whigs, tried to pass a law to exclude James from the line of succession simply because he was Catholic. They wanted to skip over him and make the next heir a Protestant. King Charles II fought tooth and nail to protect his brother's right to the throne, and after a long and bitter struggle, he succeeded. The exclusion bill failed, but the crisis left deep scars and created clear political divisions. The country was split between those who supported James, known as the Tories, and those who opposed him, the Whigs. In 1685, Charles II died without any legitimate children. So, despite all the controversy, James became King James II. At first, things went surprisingly well. He promised to uphold the laws and protect the Church of England, and many people were willing to give him a chance. He even smoothly crushed two rebellions that broke out shortly after he took the throne, one in Scotland and one in England. Led by Charles II's illegitimate son, the Duke of Monmouth, James's decisive victory seemed to solidify his power. He seemed strong, secure, and in control. However, James's initial promises soon began to unravel. His goal was not just to practice his own faith, but to promote Catholicism and grant religious freedom to all, including Catholics and Protestant dissenters. On the surface, this idea of religious toleration sounds pretty modern and enlightened, but his methods were what caused the alarm. He used his royal power to suspend laws that penalized Catholics. He appointed Catholics to high positions in the government, the army, and even at the universities of Oxford and Cambridge, which were bastions of Protestantism. To the English political establishment, this looked like a direct assault on the Constitution. They believed the king was supposed to rule with Parliament, not override its laws. His actions seemed to confirm their worst fears, that he was an absolutist monarch who would impose his will and his religion on the country. The birth of his son, James Francis Edward, in June 1688, was the final straw. Until then, many had been patient, assuming that after James died, the throne would pass to his Protestant daughter Mary, who was married to the Dutch leader William of Orange. But now, with a new Catholic heir, the prospect of a permanent Catholic dynasty loomed. This was a future that many powerful figures in England were simply not willing to accept. So, in a secret and daring move, A group of 7 influential noblemen, both Whigs and Tories, sent a letter to William of Orange. They invited him to invade England with an army to restore English liberties and protect the Protestant religion. William, who had his own political reasons for wanting to curb the power of France's Catholic king, Louis XIV, an ally of James, agreed. In November 1688, William landed in England with a large army. What happened next was remarkable. It wasn't a bloody, drawn-out war. Instead, James's support base just melted away. Key military commanders, influential nobles, and even his own daughter, Princess Anne, deserted him and joined William's side. James was stunned by the betrayal. He had built up a large standing army, but he realized he couldn't trust it to fight for him. The morale had collapsed. Feeling isolated and fearing for his life, perhaps remembering the fate of his father, Charles I James decided to flee. His first attempt failed and he was captured. But William of Orange cleverly allowed him to escape a second time. It was politically much cleaner for James to be in exile than to be a prisoner or a martyr. James fled to France, where he was given refuge by his cousin King Louis XIV back in London. Parliament declared that by fleeing the country, James had abdicated the throne. In early 1689, they offered the crown jointly to William and Mary. This whole series of events came to be known as the Glorious Revolution. It was glorious because it was largely bloodless in England, and it established the principle that the monarch governs with the consent of Parliament, not by divine right alone. It led to the Bill of Rights of 1689, a landmark document that limited the power of the monarchy and guaranteed certain rights for Parliament and individuals. But the story wasn't over for James. With French support, he landed in Ireland in 1689, which had a largely Catholic population. He hoped to use it as a base to reclaim his throne. This led to a brutal war in Ireland. The decisive moment came in 1690 at the Battle of the Boyne. James's army was defeated by William's forces. James once again fled back to France, his hopes of restoration dashed. He spent the rest of his life in exile, a guest at a French palace, holding a sort of phantom court. He never gave up on his claim to the throne, and his supporters, known as the Jacobites, continued to plot for his return, and later for the return of his son and grandson for decades to come. James II died in 1701. So what's his legacy? For a long time, he was seen as a tyrant who foolishly tried to impose his religion on a resistant nation. But more recently, some historians have offered a more nuanced view. They argue that his push for religious toleration was genuine, even if his methods were politically disastrous. Was he a misguided idealist or a clumsy autocrat? Maybe a bit of both. His reign is a powerful lesson in the delicate balance between faith, power, and the will of the people. His downfall cemented the supremacy of Parliament and set Britain on the path to becoming a constitutional monarchy. It was a short, chaotic reign, but its impact is still felt to this day. What do you think? Was James a villain or a victim of his circumstances? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.